June 4th, between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 a.m., 400 NYPD officers raided through 2 housing projects and private apartment buildings in West Harlem. The police are even celebrating this now as the biggest gang raid in New York City history. This was not a gang raid. This was a shock and awe military assault on Black and Latino neighborhoods.
Let's talk about what the fuck actually happened here. 5 o'clock in the morning, police kicking down doors, tossing up entire apartments. They took a 16-year-old, half asleep and half naked, and threw her to the floor, handcuffing her, wouldn't even let her put her clothes on. They pointed a gun at a 3-year-old child, made him wet himself. A grandmother tried to hide her 7-year-old grandson, and the police told her they'd be back for him later. They took whole families, threw them to the floor and handcuffed them as they stood over them, laughing and high-fiving each other like fucking frat boys. What does any of this have to do with fighting crime or protecting these neighborhoods? They were following some of these people that they arrested for over 4 years. They were aged 15 to 30. That means some of them were about 10 years old when they started this case. A lot of them, they just put together some bullshit talking on Facebook and based it off of that. This has nothing to do with fighting crime or protecting these people.
See, they want you to think that this is about 4 years of gathering evidence against some teenagers, when this is not about 4 years or 40 years, but about 400 years of the continual exploitation and oppression of blacks and Latinos here in this country since the first African was dragged here in slave chains. From slavery to Jim Crow to the new Jim Crow of mass incarceration and police terror, these raids and these assaults are just like the crack of the whip during the days of slavery or the noose during the time of Jim Crow. It is all completely illegitimate. This is a system, a criminal system that has no future for the masses of blacks and Latino youth, no way to continue to profitably exploit them under this setup, and so it has them confined and pinned into the ghettos and barrios of places like New York City. And it's not like all these youth out here are into some shit. Many of them have tried so hard, time and time again, to get out of the conditions that they've been enmeshed in. When you think about in the 90s, Bloods and Crips in places like LA came together at unity picnics to try to bridge the divisions that had been fomented against them, and they were set upon and sabotaged by police. And in the very same projects in question, basketball teams were put together to try to unify these warring beefs, and now, after this raid, they're all behind bars. This is not about the choices of the youth that are involved. This is about a system that has criminalized them and has no future for them.
So what's the pattern here? Is it like Bratton is trying to tell us that if you make the lifestyle choices, you will suffer the consequences? Well, what were the lifestyle choices being made by the 19-month-old baby before police came busting into the house and threw a grenade into their crib? What were the lifestyle choices being made by 7-year-old Ayanna Stanley Jones in Detroit when she was asleep on her grandmother's lap before police busted in, burned off her face with a grenade, and then shot her in the neck, killing her? What was the lifestyle choices being made by 14-year-old Javier Payne when NYPD officers threw him through some glass for mouthing off? No, that's not the pattern. The pattern is that all over this society, the police serve as the enforcers of this very system that has no future for these youth. Think about it. Right here in New York, thousands of people were part of calling out and standing up to the stop and frisk. And what is their answer? They come from stop and frisk to the crew cuts, rounding people up as all suspected gang members. Well, if this is their answer to generations now, with no jobs rotting schools and no education, if this is their answer to generations who have been deprived of the opportunity to contribute all they can, and who have been deprived of the opportunity to not only survive but flourish together with others in society, if this is the best they can come up with, more police terror, more mass incarceration, more criminalization aimed at black and brown youth, treated like animals, deserving of no basic rights and no respect, if this is all they have, they need to get the fuck off our planet.
And look, if you care about the future of these youth, yeah, the good ones that got caught up in this raid, but even the so-called bad ones, it does no good to blame them for the choices that they make under these conditions that they were born into. What you need to be doing is standing up today against these outrages, bringing the youth into that process, and transforming each other as we fight against our common enemy, against the real problem, and that is this system. Putting aside these beefs and fighting for a revolution that is the real solution.
And we are doing that starting now. They cannot be allowed to get away with this kind of a military assault and then spread their lies about this is protecting and serving people. So this Friday, 6 p.m. at the Harlem State Office Building on 125th Street and Adam Clayton Powell, we in the Revolution Club, together with residents of West Harlem, including people who were attacked in this raid, are going to be speaking out in a people's press conference to tell the truth about what happened and why, and to show people that there is a way to stand up to this. And for every one of the 400 police they sent into the neighborhoods, we're getting 400 whistles into the neighborhood that people can use to organize themselves and stand together, so that the next time something like this happens, they don't face people who are not inspired and organized to stand up against this outrage and build up the strength to put an end to it. And you need to get with that fight. It is on us. It's not going to come from more empty promises and hollow reforms. It's on us. We are the Revolution Club. Get with the revolution.